Hey everyone, it's Kurumi here. You know, when Dylan pitched to me this idea of doing a set of Sonic Historia videos featuring the egg bosses, I was so honoured when he asked me to do it with him because let me tell you, I'm a major fan of the egg bosses as well as just the reboot of the Archie comics in general. So, right now I'm going to give you a general summary of who the egg bosses are as a group, a little bit about their history, and it's going to be a fun time, honestly, because as I've said before, major fan of these guys, so I'm going to love talking about them. So let's get right to it. I'm looking forward to doing this right now. The Egg Bosses are a group that appear in the Archie comics as I have stated before in the intro. They're an organisation of 12, well technically 13 when you count Cassia, regional Mobian enforcers employed by Dr. Eggman to lead different units of his egg army across Sonic's world. Soon after returning to Sonic's world following the Super Genesis wave, Dr. Eggman encounters some of his forces in Africa Plains. He was quickly made aware that his military, now calling themselves the Egg Army, with its various regional leaders titled as Egg Bosses. The first of these whom he encountered was Axel the Water Buffalo of the Africa unit, followed shortly thereafter by Lord Mordred Hood and Avalon. Soon after that, he ends up getting into contact with Tundra the Walrus in Antarctica, just before the beginning of the Shattered World Crisis. So soon after these events unfold, we're introduced to a couple of more Egg Bosses, Clove the Pronghorn along with her sister Cassia, and Thunderbolt the Chinchilla, some of my personal favourite Egg Bosses at this point. We find the Pronghorn sisters being tasked to recover a Chaos Emerald from the Crystal Cave, but it was stolen by the Freedom Fighters thanks to files stolen from Eggman by Sally Acorn. Soon after this, Eggman contacts Thunderbolt, who had also located the Chaos Emerald and instructed her to prepare for the Freedom Fighters' arrival. Despite laying a trap for the heroes, Sonic the Hedgehog manages to overwhelm Thunderbolt with his Warhog transformation, and even destroys her flying dynamo robot. After dealing with all of these setbacks, Tundra eventually captures two of the Guardians of the Gaia Keys, only to lose them when Sonic the Hedgehog and his son Rotor the Walrus manages to infiltrate his base. Clove is later entrusted with the only one of the 7 Chaos Emeralds that Eggman's forces had managed to retain through an engagement with the Freedom Fighters. Nemesis and her unit in Shamar later on closes in on another set of Gaia Keys, only to run into opposition from several of the Freedom Fighters and the Desert Raiders, creating yet another setback for the group. Soon all the Egg Bosses are summoned by Eggman to reclaim Eggman Land from Walter and Wendy Nagas and their minions. Eggman paired them into teams of 2 so they could do their missions. The Egg Bosses later confronted the Nagas twins and managed to defeat many of the brainwashed badniks and the Witch Carters. After Walter was defeated by Eggman, Eggman made Wendy Nagas an Egg Boss due to him wanting an even number of Egg Bosses, plus not having an Egg Boss with magic to begin with. All the Egg Bosses then returned to their respective regions, while Wendy was assigned to obtain a cacophonic conch. Soon after this, Axel and Conquering Storm later fight Sonic and the Freedom Fighters in an attempt to prevent them from stealing the Gaia Keys they have in their possession. Thunderbolt also fights Knuckles the Echidna and Mighty the Armadillo for possession of 2 of the pieces of the Master Emerald. Later on, both Battlelord Cuckoo and Wendy were both contacted by Eggman for his counterattack against the Freedom Fighters. As Wendy sent her Witch Cutters to back up the hooligans in Metal-Sonic and Mobotropolis, the Battlelord sent his armada to ambush the Sky Patrol. The Battlelord's son Speedy eventually captures Chip, and the Armada blows the Sky Patrol out of the sky. After Eggman activates the Gaia Temples, Axel, Nemesis, and the Pronghorns witness the rise of their respective Gaia Temples, and sadly there's not much else after that because, you know, the reboot Archie comics kind of were cancelled after that. So we never get to see the climax of this entire arc. And there you have it. A general summary of the Egg Bosses as a group. Now, I apologize for how short this video might be, but as I've previously hinted at already, there's not much to talk about in terms of their history, because frankly, there wasn't much that they could do in the short space of time that they were given. They were probably going to do a lot more, and it was definitely hinted at that they were going to do a lot more, but unfortunately the reboot Archie comics were cancelled soon after, you know, this whole arc got to that point. So sadly, there wasn't much to talk about, but the next time that I see you, I'll be talking about each of the Egg Bosses in a bit more detail in terms of like their own characters. So there'll be a lot more videos on the Egg Bosses to come, and I'm looking forward to that. So this has been Kurumi, and I will see you for the next Sonic Historia of the Egg Bosses.